Are you sure you can drive?
Yeah.
Ah! Slow down!
What would you do if a person you thought were the coolest one in the world, but at the same time the worst one, came to you and wanted to be friends? Would you push away and secretly continue to think about how cool they were? Or would you try to accept the friendship? This movie explores the second option, and the person turns out to be literally the worst person you could possibly meet. This is Poison Ivy review, and please be warned that it contains spoilers, but don't worry too much. Poison Ivy is an old forgotten movie and you probably won't watch it. There are two main characters in this movie and they are unlikely friends I just described. One of them is this unpopular, quirky high school girl Sylvie Cooper. She's the one who is pondering about how cool the other girl is. But Sylvie is an interesting character by herself. She has this Egyptian eye made into a hairstyle, and she's also a compulsive liar. She even tells that her father is not her biological father, but later this turns out to be lies. This girl is lonely and rebellious, so it is not a surprise that she accepts the friendship from the other girl she admires so much. The other girl is Ivy, and that of course is not her real name. But viewer never finds out her real name. She is introduced like that when Sylvie wants her dad to drive Ivy home. And she introduces her as Ivy because Ivy has poison ivy tattoo on her leg. This tattoo is the one of the first things we see when the movie starts. Ivy is swinging in a swing over a ravine. Sylvie is watching, being annoyed by her and at the same time admiring her. Ivy symbolizes everything Sylvie is afraid to be. She is cool, fearless and bold, while Sylvie is shy and introverted. Even the swinging symbolizes this, because Sylvie is afraid to swing there, but Ivy does it as the easiest thing in the world. Then Ivy in her bold manner addresses Sylvie and they become friends. Because there is one thing they have in common, loneliness. You see, Ivy may be the cool girl in Sylvie's eyes, but she's not your typical popular girl with lots of friends. She's too wild to be one, but Sylvie misses this detail. In my opinion, Ivy is a brilliant character. She's one of those mysterious villains, you never find out who they really are. We never find out from where she came from and what is her real name even. The only thing that matters is what's happening now. Sometimes this approach works and sometimes it fails, because characters demand more backstory to understand them. But in Ivy's case, the backstory isn't necessary, because we can easily understand who she is and what she wants. And the thing she wants so desperately is family, but she's too far gone to understand that her crazy actions only poison people she's so close with. Ivy doesn't know boundaries and she's not a good girl. She will do anything to get what she wants, and she wants everything. What makes Ivy so good is that she has this mix of ulterior motives and rebellious teenage nonsense, and that's an explosive mixture. Sylvie's father and mother are two more important characters in this movie. Father is a wealthy news anchor. He's not close with his daughter and wife, but I think that he suffers because of this. I don't think that he doesn't care at all in this movie. You see, their family is in a tragic situation because Sylvie's mother is dying from an illness, and she has to be in a bed all day. She uses oxygen machine to help her breathe, and this puts a big strain on the whole family. Sylvie is a typical teenage girl who has a rebellious attitude, and her uptight rich father annoys her, but I don't think she really hates him. The original Poison Ivy movie was made in 1992, and it really feels like 90s movie. It doesn't have particularly impressive cinematography, but at the same time it has very distinctive feeling and vibe around it. Like every setting complements the movie itself. It has an interesting dark LA atmosphere, and that's great. Poison Ivy has this feeling of a Mexican TV show that something crazy is about to happen all the time. and there is not a lot of action in this movie. In fact, the movie is actually pretty slow paced. It's just these things Ivy does. Let me count some of them. Seducting best friend's father. Making love with this father in the same room his dying wife is in while she's sleeping. Wearing best friend's mother's clothes. Making best friend's dog to like her more than her best friend with hidden snacks. Crashing best friend's dead mother's car. And this is not everything that's happening here. It has this perfect tension of a thriller where there's not a lot of action, but it feels so thrilling. Poison Ivy has rather poor rating in IMDb of 5.4, but in my opinion this is completely wrong, because I believe that people only see this movie as an appropriate erotic movie. But the movie is actually deeper than that. It portrays rather well the initial beginning of an outcast friendship. Ivy is wild and interesting. She is not afraid to talk about death and other deeper things. There is usual rebel development when they are drinking together and making tattoo, because Sylvie always wanted one, although her father strictly prohibits it. And Ivy is not just simply evil person, there's more to it. At the start she seems pretty okay, and that develops the right pacing for the movie. The other reason why people don't like this movie, in my opinion, is that it portrays these deeper feelings from teenage perspective. They are vaguely talking about them, pretending that it's so cool and edgy. And that's the real way how teenagers actually do that sometimes. The movie has a strong teenage rebellion vibe to it, and that's only a plus. Story is pretty simple here. Ivy wants to have a real family, and she wants to have every role in it. She wants to be everyone's favorite, and that works at the start. She befriends Sylvie. Sylvie's mother likes Ivy because she's not afraid of her dying condition, and Ivy wants to talk with her. She's also not afraid to tell that she likes Sylvie's father, while his daughter and wife doesn't like him. Ivy befriends even Sylvie's dog, but it's never enough for Ivy. She wants more and more. That's why she's seducing Sylvie's father. Ivy wants to become not his love affair, but pretends to be his real wife. That's why she enjoys wearing wife's clothes. But at some point dying wife becomes an obstacle, and Ivy kills her by pushing her out of the window. It is never really clear why she does this. It may have been because she wanted to progress her relationship with Sylvie's father, but from another perspective she may have felt that it's the right thing to do for the mother. You see, mother was terminally ill and her life was just an agony, and Ivy could have decided that death is the best way in this situation. It's only downhill from there. Sylvie and Ivy take mother's car for a drive, and Ivy starts to hum some song, but this song turns out to be fateful because Sylvie recognizes that the song is the one which was playing on a cassette radio when her mother died. It was a special song composed by her, so Sylvie knows that Ivy could have heard it only if she were with Sylvie's mother when the mother died. She starts accusing Ivy of the murder. Fight breaks out and Ivy crashes the car. They both lose consciousness. Ivy comes around first and puts Sylvie behind the wheel. Sylvie is then in the hospital, but Ivy endured crash better and is at home. But Sylvie sneaks out of the hospital and goes home only to find out Ivy making love with her father. This is happening for a while, but Sylvie finds out this only now. A commotion breaks out and Ivy accidentally reveals that she has a bruise of the steering wheel from the car accident. Father didn't believe his daughter before about the crash and about the Ivy killing his wife, but now he understands that Sylvie wasn't lying this time. Sylvie runs away and father goes searching for her, but Sylvie is actually hiding to confront Ivy personally. A fight breaks out and Ivy falls out of the same window she pushed Sylvie's mother out before. She dies. Then Sylvie narrates, "I guess I still love her. She might have been even more alone than I was." And what a strong ending this is. No unnecessary after scenes. I guess people mostly view this movie as an erotic thriller because of all the spicy scenes, but I see here ideas about unlikely friendship, teenage rebellious attitude, dangers of inviting strangers to your life, and philosophy of life and death itself. I may look too deep into this movie, but this is how I view it, and why I like it so much. Poison Ivy is one of the movies I watched a long time ago, and I remember liking it, but since then I've seen a lot more movies, and my judgment may have been wrong. At least I know some movies that seemed great before, but now they don't seem so good anymore. But Poison Ivy is not one of those movies. It still was great to watch recently. My opinion didn't change. There are movies in the world most people like, and then there are obscure movies almost no one really likes, but that doesn't mean that the mainstream opinion should be your opinion, especially if it's about art. Art is subjective, you know. Poison Ivy definitely is one of those obscure movies, but for me it's one of the best. I don't know if I can recommend you watching this movie, but for me this is 10 out of 10. Thank you for watching.